Welcome back. We are here with our 1630s recap video, and of course we are going to start in 1630, where it all began, and the birthdays are Dakota Waldrick becoming an infant, Zebediah Hobard becoming a toddler, Josiah Hobard becoming a child, Weedamu Meta Comet becoming a teenager, Solomon Waldrick becoming a young adult, and for deaths we have Silas Hobard, Highway Waldrick, may she rest in peace, and Ismay Larkin, may she not rest in peace. We had so many fires. I am so tired of the fires. But Ismay did end up dying in one of the fires, and of course there was a funeral service that was held where Muriel then convinced Abigail to out Odalina's affair baby, in which Humphrey immediately started questioning the children about and interrogating Odalina about before finding her guilty and banishing her from the settlement. Margaret wrote to Sophronia about their situation, and Solomon finally started accepting Scylla's advances since he needed a wife. Eliot is jealous of Solomon at this point and tries to get into a marriage with Jane behind his back, and Sokanon and Nicholas gossip together. In 1631, for birthdays, we have Nyla Metacomet being born and becoming an infant, Amity Hobard, who was not born this year but did become an infant, along with Clayton Waldrick. For toddlers, we have Dakota Waldrick becoming a toddler, Humphrey Dubois IV becoming a child, Obadiah Hobard also becoming a child, Muriel Larkin becoming a teenager, Eliot Waldrick becoming a young adult, and for deaths we have Nehemiah Dubois and Nenephamset Metacomet. Sophronia arrived, much to everyone's relief in the household. Abigail realizes that Muriel is not her friend because of all the drama. Solomon and Bernard continue to see each other, but Eliot does catch them together, and they are really worried about it. So in order to get ahead of the rumors, Solomon proposes to Scylla. Eliot then goes to gain the approval of Jane's parents for their marriage. Bertram adjusts to life without Highway, and Odalina also establishes her place in the Metacomet family. In 1632, for birthdays, we have Tabitha Hobard being born and becoming an infant, Amity Hobard becoming a toddler, Chayton Waldrick becoming a toddler, Nyla Metacomet becoming a toddler, Ahanu Metacomet becoming a child, Esther Hobard becoming a child, Janice Phelps becoming a child, Jacqueline Phelps also becoming a child, Philip Hobard becoming a teenager back in England, Abigail de Mohun becoming a teenager, along with Priscilla de Mohun, her twin, and their cousin Abraham Larkin also being a teenager, and then Aquina Metacomet also a teenager. Margaret and Abigail do reconcile after Abigail comes to her senses. Humphrey then becomes Abraham's mentor in becoming captain. Priscilla is popular amongst the guys. Solomon begs Eliot if only to spare Bernard from the rumors. Eliot outs Solomon to Humphrey, and this causes Solomon to be punished in front of everyone, and it causes Scylla to break up with him and break their engagement. Sokanon then asks for divorce. She can't stand being around Odalina, who immediately steps into her place as wife in the household. In 1633, we only have a few birthdays. We have Martha Hobard being born and becoming an infant, Tabitha Hobard becoming a toddler, Jane Waldrick, formerly Phelps, becomes a young adult. Margaret makes a deal with Solomon over becoming Bernard's beard. She tells Sophronia about it, and Scylla is mean to Margaret over it because she thinks it's not a good friend thing to do. Muriel takes Scylla's side, and those two become besties. Abraham continuing to flirt, especially with Aquinon, and Eliot and Jane getting married. In 1634, for birthdays, we have Theophilus Waldrick being born and becoming an infant, Martha Hobard becoming a toddler, Zebediah Hobard becoming a child, and Dakota Waldrick also becoming a child. Margaret hangs out with Bernard and Solomon to kind of increase their relationship. Muriel and Sella actually become best friends and are mean to Margaret over the whole situation. Abraham and Aquina start a secret relationship. Humphrey and Demeta's marriage worsens. He also pressures his brother to get married soon and also pressures his son to be more like him. And Peter and Christina are just out here living their best lives with their beautiful, beautiful children. In 1635, we have for birthdays Edmund Waldrick being born and becoming an infant, Theophilus Waldrick becoming a toddler, Amity Hobard becoming a child, Nyla Meta Comet also becoming a child, Chayton Waldrick passing away, and also Miles Hobard II passing away. We add a new sim, and this is Elias Dale, who has been added to our game. The family is having money troubles, so Margaret works hard to gather enough simoleons for her dowry. Muriel plans to sell off Priscilla to Elias. Jane found out about her husband being a thief and, of course, confronted him about it. And Bernard insists on marrying Margaret to his brother, who is not really approving. In 1636, for birthdays, we have Ezekiel Hobard becoming a teenager, Sella Hobard becoming a young adult, Margaret, now Dubois, becoming a young adult, Aquina Metacomet passing away, and also Mary Stroud passing away unexpectedly. Muriel tricks Priscilla into going on a date with Elias, which she stays on because she's polite but isn't into him. Abraham finds out that his girlfriend Aquina is pregnant, and he immediately complains to Muriel that it will ruin his future. Margaret becomes a young adult, and she immediately marries Bernard to get out of the house. They move in with Solomon, and they just all have an arrangement together in the house so that they can all live in peace the way that they want to. Muriel then kills Aquina for her brother, but is caught running away, which is the thing that sparks the war. In 1637, for birthdays, we have Austin Dubois, our first baby, born and becoming an infant. Jarvis Waldrick being also born, becoming an infant. Edmund Waldrick becoming a toddler. Tabitha Hobard becoming a child. Isaac Hobard also becoming a teenager. Weedamoo Metacomet becoming a young adult. Bertram Waldrick II passing away, and Claw Harry also passing away. In the war, we lost 3 Sims. That includes Ezekiel Hobard, Peter Hobard II, and Humphrey Dubois III. We also added in a new family, the Yazi family. This is the father Ahusaka, the mother Salili, and their son Chogan, who is important later. The war killed 3 of our Sims before they were satisfied. Rumors about Priscilla and woohooing have spread from Muriel, so Priscilla runs away, and that's where she meets Chogan, and they become friends. Our heir is born. Very exciting, and Muriel decides to set up Sella and Abraham for further control over the family. Jane returns Demeta's stolen jewelry, and Elliot promises he will never steal again. We'll see how that goes. In 1638, for birthdays, we have Martha Hobard becoming a child, Josiah Hobard becoming a teenager, Janice Phelps also becoming a teenager, and Muriel Larkin becoming a young adult. We have another new family, the Harpers. This is Tobias and his wife Susanna. They have 3 children. Temperance, who is the eldest and a teen. Nathaniel, who is the only boy, he is a child, and then the youngest child is Hope, who's just a toddler. Abigail is upset that her reputation has left her single. So Sophronia takes the girls to England, where Abigail then meets Philip, and they fall in love and get pregnant. So that's that. Sophronia tells Priscilla not to worry about what other people think and to follow her heart, so she does, having her first kiss with Chogan. Abraham takes over as captain of the guard and starts making connections with the Harper family, specifically to marry Temperance. Meanwhile, he doesn't discourage Sella's pursuit of him. Temperance dabbles in the occult behind everybody's backs, while her parents are pressuring her to think about marriage, and Margaret wants another baby. Last year, 1639. For birthdays, we have Phineas Dubois, was born and became an infant, our second child. Holly Hobart, also born and became an infant. Jason Waldrick became an infant, was not born. Austin Dubois became a toddler. Theophilus Waldrick became a child. Humphrey Dubois IV has become a teenager, along with Obadiah Hobart also becoming a teenager. Philip Hobart aged up into a young adult, along with Abigail, now Hobart, his wife. Priscilla, now Yazzie, aged up into a young adult. Abraham Larkin, also young adult. Chogan Yazzie, once again, young adult. For deaths, we have Jarvis Waldrick, and unfortunately, Margaret Dubois, RIP. First, we start off with Austin's birthday. It goes really well. Abigail realizes she's pregnant, so she needs to leave. She needs to find Philip and marry him. So even though his father is angry with their behavior, of course, they agree to get married very quickly to hide the pregnancy. Muriel pushes Elias to complain to get to marry Priscilla, in which he discusses with her family, and Abraham agrees to it, so she runs away and elopes with Chogan, but his family doesn't really like her. Abraham is officially courting Temperance, which makes Sella very angry, in which she is now being mean to Temperance and causing trouble for her, and of course our poor Margaret did die in childbirth. For the family trees, first, we're going to start with the Hobart Metacomet family, where Odalina was widowed and living with her 4 dependents, and had her affair child off to the side, but now she's married to Anawan and left the children behind, and then also one of them did pass away. In the Dubois family, Humphrey and Demita had their 2 children, and now Demita is a widow, and only Humphrey IV survived out of the children. In the Waldrick family, we had Highway and Bertram with their 1 child, and his brothers off to the side there, but they both died, Highway and Bertram, and only left 1 surviving child. Meanwhile, Elliot has married and now has 5 children with his wife, Jane, and they're all very young still. In the England Hobart family, we just had Peter and his son Philip. Philip is now, of course, married to Abigail, and they have 1 child so far. And then his other son, Peter, had his household with his wife and 4 children, and now he is deceased, and his wife is with 6 children all by herself. In the Larkin family, we had Ismay with just Muriel and Abraham, and now she is dead, and they too are grown up. Then finally, in the De Mohun family, we had the 3 siblings orphaned, and now Priscilla is married to Chogan, and of course Margaret was married to Bernard, and he was with Solomon, and they have 2 children together before she passed away in childbirth. So that is it for the decade. Lots of things happened, a lot of stuff. I hope you guys have been enjoying, and I really have to think about where we're going to go from here now that Margaret is dead, but we have a lot to look forward to, so I am very excited about that, and I'll catch you in the next one.